The Galactic Council citadel floated in space like a crown of silver and gold. It orbited Zenthar Prime, the most beautiful planet in the known galaxy. The citadel had stood for 50,000 years, a symbol of power and order. Inside its massive halls, representatives from 600 species made decisions that affected trillions of lives across the stars. Ambassador Marcus Chen walked through the gleaming corridors with heavy steps. He was a human, and humans were not welcome here. Not really. The other species looked at him with cold eyes or did not look at him at all. After 80 years of asking, humanity still had no real voice in the council. They called Earth's people a probationary species, which was just a polite way of saying they did not matter. Marcus entered the grand chamber where the council was meeting. The room was enormous, with seats rising in circles all around. Hundreds of alien beings sat in their places. Some had wings, some had scales, some looked like giant insects. At the center sat High Arbiter Kelthrin, a bird-like creature with brilliant blue feathers and eyes that seemed to pierce through everything. "The human wishes to speak," Kelthrin announced, his voice dripping with boredom. A few counselors laughed. The sound echoed through the chamber. Marcus stepped forward. His heart pounded, but he kept his face calm. "Honored council members, I come again to request full membership for humanity. We have followed every rule you set. We have stayed in our 12 permitted systems. Our fleet has never exceeded 200 ships. We have proven ourselves peaceful and cooperative." Councillor Vrix rose from his seat. He was an insectoid, with 4 arms and compound eyes that glittered in the light. "Peaceful? We have reports that humans have been researching forbidden technologies, dark matter manipulation to be specific." The chamber erupted in angry buzzing and clicking. Dark matter technology was strictly banned by council law. Only the council itself could research such dangerous fields. Marcus felt cold. "I know nothing of this. If there have been violations, they are not sanctioned by Earth's government." "Lies," Vrix hissed. "Your species is ambitious and reckless. You have existed for only a few thousand years. Children playing with fire." High Arbiter Kelthrin raised one wing. The chamber fell silent. "The council has made a decision. An investigation team was sent to your research stations. They found evidence of dark matter experiments. This is a severe violation of galactic law." "Please," Marcus said, his voice steady despite the fear rising in his chest. "Let us explain. Give us a chance to present evidence to defend ourselves." Kelthrin's eyes showed no mercy. "The council has discussed this matter for 3 days. We have reached a conclusion. Humanity has proven itself dangerous and untrustworthy. Your species will be sterilized." The word hung in the air like poison. Sterilized, it meant the council would destroy humanity's ability to reproduce, to grow, to exist. It was a death sentence delivered slowly. "You cannot do this," Marcus whispered. "We are a civilization of 30 billion souls. Innocent people who have done nothing wrong." "Your innocence ended when you broke our laws," Kelthrin replied. "We have maintained galactic peace for 50,000 years. We do what must be done. A council armada of 5,000 ships is already en route to Earth. They will arrive in 6 days. You may use this time to prepare your people." Marcus felt the world spinning. 6 days. 5,000 ships against humanity's 200. It was not a battle. It was an execution. "We have families," Marcus pleaded, abandoning dignity. "Children, artists and scientists and farmers. People who only want to live in peace." "Then you should have followed our laws," Vrix said with satisfaction. "Consider this a lesson to other young species. The council's rules exist for a reason." Other council members nodded. Some looked uncomfortable but said nothing. Fear kept them silent. Fear of being next. Fear of standing against the power that had ruled the galaxy for longer than most of their civilizations had existed. Marcus turned and walked from the chamber. No one stopped him. No one said goodbye. He was already a ghost to them, a representative of a dead species. In his small quarters on the Citadel, Marcus sat alone for a long time. Then he activated his encrypted communicator. The device was hidden inside what looked like an ordinary data pad. He typed a simple message: "They're coming. Contingency exodus is authorized." He sent it to a location that officially did not exist, a military command center buried deep inside Mars, hidden from all council sensors. Marcus did not know exactly what contingency exodus meant. He had been briefed only partially, told that Earth had secrets, preparations for a day like this. He had thought it was just paranoia. Now he prayed it was real. On the other side of the galaxy, Admiral Helena Voss received the message. She sat in a command center carved from Martian rock, surrounded by holographic displays showing star charts and ship positions. She was 56 years old with gray hair and eyes that had seen too much. When she read Marcus's message, she did not hesitate. "All stations, this is Admiral Voss," she said into her communicator. "Authorization code Omega Black 7. Activate the dark matter fleet. This is not a drill. The Council has declared war on humanity. Across the solar system and beyond, in the cold darkness of the Oort cloud, and in hidden shipyards scattered through deep space, lights began to glow. Massive ships powered up, their engines humming with energy that conventional sensors could not detect. These vessels had been built in absolute secrecy over 60 years. They used technology that should not exist, that humanity had discovered by accident and kept hidden from the Council. 147 ships. The Council had no idea they existed. The galaxy had no idea what humans had built while pretending to be weak and obedient. Captain James Torres stood on the bridge of the HDMS Defiant, the flagship of the secret fleet. His crew worked at their stations with practiced efficiency. They had trained for years for a day they hoped would never come. "Captain," his tactical officer reported, "we're detecting the Council Armada. They'll reach Earth in 6 days, just as they said." "Then we have 6 days to prepare," Torres replied. "But we do not wait for them to attack. We let them come. We let them think they have already won." The Council ships traveled through space with confidence. 5,000 vessels, the largest armada assembled in a century. They expected no resistance. Humans had only 200 ships, primitive weapons, old technology. This would be quick and clean. They had no idea they were flying into a trap. They could not imagine that humanity had spent 60 years preparing for this exact moment. The Council had ruled through fear and power for so long that they had forgotten an important truth. The most dangerous enemy is the one you underestimate. High Arbiter Kelthrin sat in his private chambers on the Citadel, drinking a rare wine from his homeworld. He felt satisfied. Order would be maintained. The humans would serve as an example. Other species would remember not to challenge the Council's authority. He had no idea that he had just made the greatest mistake of his long life. He had given humanity no choice but to reveal what they had become. And when cornered animals fight, they fight with everything they have. The countdown had begun. 6 days until the Council would learn that humanity was not prey. 6 days until the galaxy would change forever. Admiral Helena Voss stood before a massive screen showing the solar system. Red dots marked the approaching Council Armada, now only 2 days away from Earth. Blue dots showed humanity's official fleet, 200 ships that the Council knew about. But there were other dots on her private display, purple ones that only she and a handful of people could see. 147 ships hiding in the darkness, invisible to every sensor the Council possessed. "How did we get here?" asked Dr. Sarah Okonkwo, walking up beside the Admiral. She was the lead physicist who had made all of this possible, a brilliant woman from Nigeria who had unlocked secrets the universe had kept hidden for billions of years. Voss remembered the day, 62 years ago, when Sarah had burst into the research lab with wild eyes and trembling hands. She had been studying dark matter, trying to understand the invisible substance that made up most of the universe. Everyone knew dark matter existed, but no one could touch it or use it. Sarah had found a way. It started with an accident. A quantum fluctuation in her experiment had created a tiny bubble, where normal matter and dark matter could interact. She had expanded that bubble, controlled it, shaped it. Within 5 years, human scientists had built the first dark matter engine. Within 10, they had learned to create shields that phased partially out of normal space. Within 20 years, they had weapons that could pass through conventional defenses like they did not exist. Earth's governments had faced a choice: reveal this technology to the Council and face immediate suppression, or hide it and prepare. They chose to hide it. They built shipyards in the Oort cloud where no one ever looked. They used automated construction so fewer people would know. They created the dark matter fleet in absolute secrecy. "We got here because they gave us no choice," Voss finally answered. "They kept us weak on purpose. They feared what we might become. On Earth, people watched the sky and waited. They knew the Council ships were coming. Evacuation shuttles ferried millions to underground shelters, but there was not enough room for everyone. 30 billion people could not hide. Most stayed in their homes, holding their families, praying for a miracle. In orbit, Captain James Torres reviewed his orders one final time. The plan was dangerous and required perfect timing. Humanity's official fleet would engage the Council Armada first. They would fight and die, making the Council believe they had already won. Then when the Council began their bombardment of Earth, the dark matter fleet would reveal itself. "It feels wrong," Torres said to his first officer, "letting our own ships die like that." "They volunteered," his officer replied quietly. "Every captain in the regular fleet knows the plan. They're buying us the element of surprise." Torres nodded, but the weight sat heavy on his shoulders. 200 ships, 30,000 crew members. All of them had families waiting below. All of them understood they were humanity's sacrifice play. The Council Armada arrived exactly when predicted. 5,000 ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system. They were beautiful in a terrible way. Massive vessels bristling with weapons that could crack planets. At their lead was a dreadnought commanded by Admiral Thexcal, a reptilian commander who had served the Council for 300 years. "Scan the system," Thexcal ordered. His scaled face showed satisfaction. "Show me what these primitives dare to oppose us with." 200 ships detected, his tactical officer reported. Old designs, weak shielding, conventional weapons. "They're forming a defensive line around Earth." Thexcal laughed, a hissing sound that made his crew uncomfortable. 200 against 5,000. Do they think this is bravery or stupidity? On the bridge of the human flagship Resolution, Captain Maria Santos took a deep breath. She was 42 years old and had never expected to die today. She had a daughter in college in Brazil and a husband who taught history. She would never see them again. "All ships, this is Santos," she broadcast to the human fleet. "Today we prove that humanity does not surrender. We show our children that we fight for them no matter the odds. For Earth, for freedom, for our future." The response was immediate. 200 voices speaking as one. "For Earth." The human fleet accelerated toward the Council Armada. Every captain knew they could not win. But they could buy time. They could make the Council bleed a little. They could show that humanity did not go quietly into the darkness. The battle was brutal and short. Human weapons struck Council shields and barely scratched them. Council weapons tore through human ships like paper. Captain Santos watched her fleet die around her, watched good ships full of brave people turn into expanding clouds of debris. Her own ship was hit 3 times. The 4th shot went straight through the hull. Her last thought was of her daughter. 4 hours later it was over. 200 human ships destroyed. The Council had lost only 17. Thexcal surveyed the wreckage with satisfaction. "Pathetic," he said. "Begin orbital bombardment. Target population centers. Make this quick." Council ships moved into position over Earth, their weapons charged, preparing to rain fire on the cities below. In New York and Tokyo, in Lagos and Mumbai, people looked up at the sky and saw death coming. Then Admiral Voss gave the order. "All ships decloak. Show them what we built." In the space around Earth, reality seemed to ripple. Shadows became solid. Darkness took shape. 147 ships materialized, appearing from nowhere, surrounding the Council fleet like wolves around prey. On the Council flagship, alarms screamed. Sensors went crazy trying to process what they were seeing. "Where did they come from?" Thexcal roared. "How are they hiding from our sensors?" His tactical officer stared at the screen in disbelief. "Sir, I don't know. They're using some kind of phase technology. They're partially out of normal space. Our sensors can barely detect them." Captain Torres opened a channel to the Council fleet. His voice was cold and hard. "Council Armada, you came here to kill us. Now you will learn why that was a mistake." The Battle of Earth began. Council ships tried to target the dark matter vessels, but their sensors could not lock on. The human ships flickered in and out of normal space, impossible to track. When Council weapons fired, they passed through the dark matter shields harmlessly, hitting nothing but vacuum. But human weapons worked perfectly. Dark matter torpedoes phased through Council shields like they did not exist. They materialized inside enemy hulls and detonated. Council ships exploded from within, torn apart by weapons they could not stop. Thexcal watched his fleet die with growing horror. Ships that had served for centuries, vessels that had enforced Council law across the galaxy, were being destroyed by humans, by primitives who were not supposed to have technology like this. "Retreat," he finally ordered, his pride shattered. "All ships retreat." But retreat was not easy. The human ships were faster, more maneuverable. They hunted the Council vessels through the orbital space, picking them off one by one. Thexcal's flagship was hit by 6 dark matter torpedoes. The great dreadnought that had destroyed worlds broke apart, spinning into Earth's atmosphere where it burned like a falling star. When it was over, 4,999 Council ships were destroyed. Only one survived, a small scout vessel that Voss had specifically ordered left alive. "Let them go," she commanded. "Let them carry the message back." The scout ship fled into faster-than-light travel, its crew terrified and broken. They would tell the Council what they had seen. They would speak of ships that could not be detected, of weapons that could not be stopped, of humans who had hidden their true power until the moment of truth. On Earth, 30 billion people emerged from their shelters. They looked up at the sky, now filled with the wreckage of the Council fleet, and they wept with relief. Their world had been saved, but they knew this was just the beginning. Admiral Voss stood on her command deck, feeling no triumph. She had just destroyed 5,000 ships, killed millions of Council soldiers. War had come to the galaxy, and humanity had fired the first real blow. "Send a message to the Council," she said quietly. "Tell them humanity is no longer asking for permission. Tell them we will be free, or they can try to stop us and fail. The choice is theirs." The message was sent across the galaxy at faster-than-light speed. Every Council world, every species under their rule would hear it within days. The old order that had stood for 50,000 years had just received a wound that might prove fatal. In her quarters, Dr. Okonkwo sat alone and cried. Her technology had just killed millions. She had created these weapons to protect humanity. But now she understood the terrible weight of her success. There was no going back now. The galaxy would never be the same. The Council citadel was in chaos. News of the Earth battle had reached every corner of the galaxy. 5,000 ships destroyed by a species that was supposed to be primitive and weak. High Arbiter Kelthrin stood before the assembled Council, his blue feathers ruffled with rage and fear. "This is impossible," shouted Councillor Vrix, his insectoid body trembling. "How did humans develop dark matter technology without our knowledge?" "They deceived us," Kelthrin said, his voice cold. "For decades they pretended to be obedient while building a secret fleet. This treachery cannot stand. If we allow humans to challenge our authority, every species in the galaxy will think they can do the same." War Marshal Drakthor stepped forward. He was massive, nearly 3 meters tall, from a warrior species that had conquered 40 worlds before joining the Council. His scarred face showed no emotion. "The Council has maintained order for 50,000 years through strength. We must respond with overwhelming force. Show the galaxy that challenging us means extinction." "How many ships do we have available?" Kelthrin asked. 15 regional fleets," Drakthor replied. "More than 50,000 warships. We mobilize them all. We strike every human colony simultaneously. We do not give them time to prepare or scatter." In the back of the chamber, some councillors shifted uncomfortably. The Yalaran delegate, a peaceful species of aquatic beings, raised a tentacle. "Is there no possibility of negotiation?" Perhaps we were too harsh. "These humans only want to be free." Kelthrin turned on the Yalaran with fury. "Free? They killed millions of our soldiers. They destroyed 5,000 ships. If we negotiate now, we show weakness. We show the galaxy that murder and rebellion are acceptable. No, humanity will be erased completely, not sterilized, destroyed, every man, woman, and child." The chamber fell silent. Total genocide was rare in Council history. Most species that resisted were simply reduced to manageable levels. But Kelthrin's pride had been wounded, and wounded pride in those with absolute power is the most dangerous thing in the universe. On Earth, Admiral Voss met with human leadership. The President, Prime Ministers, and military commanders from every nation gathered in the Mars Command Center. They watched the intelligence reports coming in. The Council was mobilizing everything. 50,000 ships, the Chinese premier said quietly. "We destroyed 5,000 and lost almost 90 of our dark matter vessels. Even with our technology, those numbers are impossible. They will hit all 12 of our colonies at once," added the African Federation commander. "We cannot defend everywhere." Voss stood and activated a holographic display. It showed human space, 12 colony systems scattered across 100 light-years. Then it showed Council space, hundreds of systems spanning thousands of light-years. "We cannot win a defensive war," Voss said. "We do not have the numbers. But we have something they do not expect. Mobility and weapons that can strike anywhere. What are you suggesting? The president asked. Dr. Okonkwo stepped forward. She looked tired, her eyes haunted. There is a weapon we developed but never tested. Dark matter torpedoes designed to destabilize stars. They can trigger a collapse, turn a normal sun into a supernova. The room went silent. Several leaders looked sick. You want to destroy entire solar systems? The Indian Prime Minister asked, horrified. I want to survive, Okonkwo replied. The Council is coming to kill every human alive. We can fight them ship by ship and lose, or we can hit them so hard they have no choice but to stop. How many people would die? The president asked quietly. Billions, Voss answered. The Council has 15 regional headquarters. Each one is on a heavily populated world. If we strike them all simultaneously, we kill their command structure and prove we can do to them what they want to do to us. We would be murderers, someone said. No better than them. We would be alive, Voss countered. I do not like this either. But they gave us no choice. They came to our home to kill us. War is not clean. War is not fair. War is survival. The debate lasted 6 hours. In the end, they voted. It was not unanimous. Some leaders refused to give approval, said they could not have that blood on their hands, but enough agreed. Operation Dark Sun was authorized. Captain Elena Reeves commanded one of humanity's fastest scout ships. She had been deep in Council space for weeks, mapping their military installations. Now she watched from a hidden position as the Council fleets assembled. 50,000 ships gathering at 15 different locations, preparing to jump to human space. She sent her final report to Admiral Voss. All targets confirmed. They launch in 48 hours. Understood, Voss replied. Get clear of the target zones. You have 36 hours. Humanity's dark matter fleet split into 15 strike groups. Each group had between 3 and 6 ships. Their mission was simple and terrible. Get past the Council defenses, deliver the dark matter torpedoes to each target star, and escape before the stars exploded. Captain Torres led the strike on Zenthar Prime, the capital world. It was the most heavily defended target, with thousands of defense platforms and hundreds of ships in orbit. His strike team consisted of 4 ships including the Defiant. They approached from deep space, their dark matter drives making them invisible. They slipped past patrol ships and sensor nets. Torres watched the planet below, a beautiful world with blue oceans and green continents. 3 billion people lived there. Most of them had never heard of Earth, had done nothing wrong except live under a government that demanded control. Target lock acquired, his weapons officer reported. We can launch torpedoes, Torres hesitated. His finger hovered over the authorization button. 3 billion lives. He thought of his own family on Earth, thought of the Council fleet coming to kill everyone he loved. He thought of what mercy had earned humanity so far. He pressed the button. 4 dark matter torpedoes launched from the Defiant and its sister ships. They phased through the planetary defenses without triggering a single alarm. They entered Zenthar Prime's sun and burrowed deep into its core. There they began disrupting the nuclear fusion that kept the star stable. Torpedoes away, Torres reported. Estimate 30 minutes until stellar collapse. His ships fled at maximum speed. Behind them, Zenthar Prime's sun began to flicker. Scientists on the planet detected the anomaly, but could not understand what was happening. The star was dying, its fusion reactions spiraling out of control. 29 minutes later, the sun exploded. The supernova wave expanded at a significant fraction of light speed. It struck Zenthar Prime and vaporized the entire planet in seconds. 3 billion lives ended before they even knew what was happening. The Council citadel orbiting nearby was torn apart by the stellar winds. The seat of galactic power for 50,000 years became dust and radiation. This scene repeated at 15 locations across Council space. 15 stars died. 15 worlds disappeared. 7 billion Council citizens were killed in a single day. The galaxy had never seen such destruction, such coordinated brutality. Admiral Voss sent a message that broadcast to every world, every ship, every species in known space. Her face appeared on screens across thousands of light years. People of the galaxy, she said, her voice steady but her eyes showing the weight she carried. I am Admiral Helena Voss of Earth. Today, humanity struck 15 Council worlds. We killed billions. We do not do this with joy. We do not do this with pride. We do this because the Council gave us no choice. They came to our world to exterminate us. They mobilized 50,000 ships to kill every human man, woman, and child. We have shown we can respond in kind. We have proven we can reach any world, any system, any star. The Council can continue this war, and we will continue to respond. Or they can stop. They can recognize that humanity will be free. They can accept that their age of absolute power is over. The choice is theirs. But they should know this: we will not go quietly. We will not surrender. And if they force us to destroy the entire galaxy to survive, we will do it. The message ended. The galaxy reeled in shock and horror. Some species called humans monsters. Others whispered that humans had done what they had been too afraid to do themselves. Many began to question whether the Council deserved their loyalty, if this was where that loyalty led. On what remained of the Council leadership, meeting now on a military station far from any star, High Arbiter Kelthrin watched the message. His feathers were gray with stress. Half the Council members were dead, killed when the Citadel exploded, but his pride would not bend. "We do not negotiate with terrorists," he said to the remaining councilors. "We gather our forces. We build more ships. We hunt these humans until every last one is dead. Even if it takes a century, even if it costs 1 trillion lives. We cannot allow this challenge to stand." War Marshal Drakthor nodded in agreement. They have shown themselves to be a plague. Plagues must be burned out. Councillor Vrix, who had survived because he was away from the Citadel, looked at them both. For the first time, he wondered if the Council's pride would destroy them all. But he said nothing. Fear still ruled him. The war would continue. Neither side could stop now. Too much blood had been spilled. Too much pride was at stake. The galaxy held its breath and waited to see which species would survive and which would become dust floating between the stars. 8 months had passed since the destruction of the 15 Council worlds. The galaxy was drowning in war. Every day brought news of another battle, another destroyed system, another billion lives lost. Both sides were exhausted, bleeding from wounds that would not heal. Admiral Helena Voss looked older now. Her gray hair had turned white and lines carved deep into her face. She stood in the Mars Command Center, staring at the holographic display that showed the state of the war. Red marked Council territory, blue marked human space, purple showed contested regions. The map was mostly red with small islands of blue, but those islands had cost the Council 43 worlds. "Status report," she said to her staff. "We have lost 89 of our original 147 dark matter ships," Captain Torres reported. He had survived 3 major battles and countless skirmishes. His hair was graying too, and his hands shook slightly when he thought no one was watching. "We are down to 58 operational vessels. We are running low on dark matter torpedoes. Production facilities in the Oort cloud have been working constantly, but we cannot replace ships as fast as we lose them." "And the Council?" Voss asked. "Their fleet strength is estimated at 20,000 ships remaining from their original 50,000 plus reinforcements," the intelligence officer said. "But their morale is collapsing. 37 species have withdrawn from the war. They are still officially Council members, but they refuse to send more ships or soldiers. The Council is having to conscript crews. Many are surrendering without a fight." Voss nodded slowly. Numbers did not tell the whole story. The Council still had more ships, more resources, more territory, but they were fighting to maintain control. Humanity was fighting to survive. Desperation gave humans an edge that the Council could not match. Ambassador Marcus Chen had not been idle during these months. He had remained on the Citadel until it was destroyed, barely escaping in an evacuation pod. Now he worked in secret, moving between neutral species, talking to moderate Council members who were horrified by the war. He met them in hidden locations, using encrypted channels, always careful. On a small trading station in neutral space, he sat across from Councillor Vrix. The insectoid had changed. His mandibles twitched nervously and his compound eyes showed something that might have been fear, or might have been doubt. "Why did you contact me?" Chen asked. "You were one of the ones pushing for our extinction." "I was a fool," Vrix said quietly. "I believed the Council was invincible. I believed humans were insignificant. I was wrong. This war is destroying the galaxy. 43 worlds dead, trillions homeless, the economy collapsing. Species that have lived in peace for thousands of years are starving because trade routes are gone." "Then help me end it," Chen said. "There are others who think like you. Moderate voices who see this madness for what it is, but Kelthrin will not listen. He would rather burn the galaxy than admit humans deserve freedom. Vrix was silent for a long moment. There is something you should know. Kelthrin has authorized the construction of a quantum cascade weapon. It is being built at a secret facility near the Citadel's ruins. This weapon can destroy a star from 10,000 light-years away. They plan to use it on Earth's sun. Chen felt cold. When? 3 weeks. Maybe 4. The weapon is nearly complete, Chen stood. Then we have no time. Can you gather the moderate counselors? Can you convince them to act? I can try, Vrix said. But Kelthrin has War Marshal Drakthor's full support. The military will not turn against them. Leave the military to us, Chen replied. You work on the politics. Get me a list of every counselor who wants this war to end. We will do the rest. Chen sent an encrypted message to Admiral Voss. The message was simple. They are building a superweapon. Target is Earth. We must strike the Citadel ruins now. Voss called an emergency meeting. Every human ship captain, every military commander, every political leader joined the conference. She explained the situation. The quantum cascade weapon could not be allowed to exist. It would make Earth defenseless, would give the Council the ability to destroy human worlds without ever coming close. We have 58 ships left, she said. The Citadel ruins are the most heavily defended location in Council space. Thousands of defense platforms, hundreds of ships on patrol. We will lose most of our fleet attempting this. But if we do not try, Earth dies. Then we try, Captain Torres said immediately. Others echoed his sentiment. They had come too far, lost too much to give up now. The operation was called Checkmate. Every remaining human dark matter ship would converge on one location. They would punch through the defenses, destroy the quantum cascade weapon, and capture or kill the Council leadership. It was desperate, perhaps suicidal, but it was the only move left. The human fleet gathered in deep space, 58 ships against an empire. Captain Torres stood on the bridge of the Defiant and looked at his crew. Some were original members from the Battle of Earth. Others were replacements, young people who had joined after their homes were destroyed. All of them knew this might be their last mission. We have fought for 8 months, Torres said to them. We have seen friends die. We have done things we never thought we would do. Today we fight one more time. Today we end this war. For Earth, for humanity, for every person who died believing we could be free. The fleet jumped to faster-than-light travel. They emerged at the Citadel ruins, where defense platforms immediately opened fire. The battle was brutal from the first second. Human ships phased in and out of normal space, but there were so many defenses that evasion was impossible. 5 ships were destroyed in the first minute. 8 more in the next 3 minutes. The Council defenders were ready this time, had learned from previous battles. They filled space with weapons fire, making it impossible to dodge. If you could not see the human ships, you shot everywhere until you hit something. But humans pressed forward. They sacrificed ships to create gaps in the defenses. The Defiant and 26 other vessels broke through the outer perimeter. Ahead lay the secret facility where the quantum cascade weapon was being completed. Torres led the assault. His ship took hit after hit, armor burning away, hull breaching in a dozen places. But he kept going. He had to reach the facility. Behind him, 19 more ships were destroyed, fighting through the inner defenses. 7 human ships reached the facility. Torres brought the Defiant alongside the station and ordered boarding parties to deploy. Human Marines in powered armor cut through the hull and stormed inside. They fought Council security forces in brutal close-quarters combat. Every meter was paid for in blood. Torres himself led a team to the facility's control center. They found High Arbiter Kelthrin there, surrounded by guards. The old bird-like being stood defiant even as human weapons pointed at him. You have lost, Torres said. Your weapon is captured. Your defenses are broken. Surrender and we can end this war. Kelthrin's eyes blazed with hate. Never. The Council does not surrender to primitives. You may kill me, but others will continue the fight. Humanity will be destroyed. If not today, then tomorrow. If not tomorrow, then in 100 years. But you will be destroyed. Torres felt tired. So very tired. Then you leave us no choice. He nodded to his Marines. They placed dark matter charges throughout the facility. The quantum cascade weapon was too dangerous to exist. It had to be destroyed, along with everyone who knew how to build it. Evacuate all human forces, Torres ordered. We are bringing this entire station down. His Marines moved through the facility, forcing Council personnel to evacuate. Not everyone made it. Some fought and died. Others were too deep in the structure to reach in time. But Torres's soldiers saved as many as they could. They were not monsters. They did not kill unnecessarily even after 8 months of horror. High Arbiter Kelthrin refused to leave. War Marshal Drakthor, who had been coordinating the defense, stayed with him. They stood in the control center as human forces withdrew. "We could have ended this peacefully," Torres said one final time. "We only wanted to be free." "Freedom is earned," Kelthrin replied. "Not given to those who break our laws." Torres turned and left. The charges detonated 3 minutes later. The facility exploded, taking the quantum cascade weapon with it. Kelthrin and Drakthor died in the blast, along with 300 Council personnel who had refused to evacuate. Of the 58 ships that attacked, only 27 survived. The Defiant was so badly damaged it could barely maintain life support, but they had won. The weapon was destroyed. The Council leadership was dead. Admiral Voss received Torres's report with mixed emotions. They had won the battle but lost 31 more ships. They were down to 27 vessels. 27 ships against an empire. But the Council's leadership was broken. Their superweapon gone, their will shattered. Ambassador Chen activated his network. He sent messages to every moderate councillor, to every species that wanted peace. "The war is over," he told them. "Kelthrin is dead. The old guard is gone. Now we can build something new." Councillor Vrick stepped forward as the senior surviving member of the council. He was afraid, uncertain, but he knew what had to be done. He broadcast a message across council space. "This war has cost too much," he said. "We have lost 50 worlds. Trillions are dead. Our economy is in ruins. And for what? To prove that we could force one species to obey. The council was supposed to be The message from Councillor Vrix reached Earth 3 days after the destruction of the quantum cascade weapon. Admiral Helena Voss sat in her command center, surrounded by her remaining officers, and listened to the council's offer of ceasefire. When it ended, the room was silent. "It could be a trap," Captain Torres said. His face was bandaged from burns he had received during the boarding action. "They lure us into negotiations while they rebuild their forces." "It could be," Voss agreed. "But we are down to 27 ships. We cannot win a war of attrition. If they truly want peace, we must consider it." Dr. Sarah Okonkwo spoke quietly from her seat in the corner. She had not left the command center in days. "How many have we killed? How many billions? I created the dark matter technology to protect humanity. Instead, I have turned us into the very thing we fought against." "No," Voss said firmly. "The council came to our home to exterminate us. Everything that happened after was their choice. We did what we had to do to survive. That does not make us monsters. That makes us survivors." But even as she said it, Voss felt the weight of every death on her shoulders. 58 worlds destroyed. Trillions dead. She would carry that burden for the rest of her life. Ambassador Marcus Chen was already in motion. He gathered representatives from the moderate council species, from the neutral powers, from the dozens of civilizations that had stayed out of the war but watched with horror. They met on a neutral station, far from any military forces. Chen stood before an assembly of 200 species. Some looked at him with hatred, others with respect, most with simple exhaustion. Everyone was tired of war. The council ruled the galaxy for 50,000 years, Chen said. They brought stability, but at the cost of freedom. They maintained peace, but only through fear. They decided which species could grow and which had to stay small. They chose who could have technology and who must remain primitive. That age is over. The old council is dead. Now we must decide what comes next. "Humans destroyed our worlds," shouted a delegate from one of the devastated systems. "You speak of freedom while you murder billions. You are worse than the council ever was." Chen did not look away. "You are right. We did terrible things. We killed billions of innocent people. I will not defend those actions. I will not pretend they were anything but monstrous. But the council gave us 2 choices. Surrender and be exterminated, or fight and become killers. We chose to live. If that makes us evil, then we are evil. But we are alive." Councillor Vrick stepped forward. The insectoid had become an unlikely voice of reason in the chaos. What humanity did was terrible. But what the council tried to do was worse. They tried to commit genocide. They mobilized 50,000 ships to kill every human. If humans had not fought back, 30 billion people would be dead and we would all be here pretending it was necessary for galactic order. At least humans are honest about what they have done. The debate lasted for days. Some species wanted to continue the war, wanted to see humanity punished for their crimes. Others saw an opportunity to reshape the galaxy into something better. Still others just wanted the killing to stop. Chen presented humanity's terms. They were simple and radical. First, the council would be dissolved. No single body would ever again have absolute authority over the galaxy. Second, a new galactic union would be formed, with equal representation for all species. Each civilization would have one vote regardless of size or power. Third, all species would have the right to develop any technology they wished, without restriction or oversight. Fourth, no species could be invaded or attacked without a declaration of war approved by 2/3 of the Union. Fifth, humanity would share dark matter technology with any species that wanted it, for peaceful purposes only. And if we refuse? Asked a council military commander. If we choose to continue fighting? Chen's face hardened. Then we continue destroying your worlds until there is nothing left. We have proven we can reach any system, any star. We have 27 ships left, but we only need one to kill a world. How many more are you willing to lose? It was not a negotiation. It was an ultimatum backed by the credible threat of mutual annihilation. But it was also an offer of something new, something that many species had wanted for thousands of years but were too afraid to ask for. The vote took place 3 weeks later. 200 species casting their decision: continue the war under the Council's remnants, or accept humanity's terms and build a new order. 147 species voted for the new Galactic Union. 38 voted to continue the war. 15 abstained. The war was over. The transition was not easy. The old Council military fractured. Some admirals accepted the new order. Others formed rogue fleets and had to be hunted down. Several species tried to fill the power vacuum left by the Council's collapse, leading to regional conflicts that the new Union had to mediate. But slowly, painfully, a new structure emerged. The Galactic Union established its headquarters on a neutral world, a station built in orbit where no species had advantage. Every civilization sent a delegate. Every delegate had one vote. It was messy and argumentative and slow, but it was democratic. Admiral Voss retired 6 months after the war ended. She was 57 years old and looked 70. She returned to Earth and found a small house by the ocean, far from cities and politics. She did not give interviews. She did not write a memoir. She just wanted to be forgotten. But the galaxy did not forget her. Some called her a hero who saved humanity. Others called her a war criminal who murdered billions. History would argue about her legacy for centuries. She did not care. She had done what was necessary. She had kept her species alive. That was enough. Captain James Torres received the Medal of Valor, the highest honor humanity could give. He accepted it at a ceremony on Earth, standing before thousands of people who cheered his name. Then he resigned his commission, went home to his small apartment, and cried for 3 days. He had survived when so many had not. The guilt would never leave him. Dr. Sarah Okonkwo continued her research, but now she focused on using dark matter technology for peaceful purposes. She developed engines that could cross the galaxy in days instead of months. She created power generators that could provide free energy to entire planets. She worked with scientists from dozens of species, sharing knowledge that had been kept secret for too long. But at night, she dreamed of burning worlds. She would carry that weight forever. Ambassador Marcus Chen became the first Secretary General of the Galactic Union. It was a title he had never wanted, a burden he could not refuse. He worked 18-hour days mediating disputes, negotiating treaties, slowly building trust between species that had hated each other for millennia. It was exhausting work. It was frustrating work, but it was better than war. 5 years after the war ended, a ceremony was held on Earth. Representatives from every member species of the Galactic Union attended. They gathered to dedicate a memorial for all those who had died in the conflict. The memorial was a simple wall of black stone, kilometers long, with names carved into its surface. Names of humans who had died defending Earth. Names of Council soldiers who had fought believing they were maintaining order. Names of civilians from 58 destroyed worlds who had done nothing wrong except exist in the wrong place. Chen stood before the wall and read from a prepared speech. We gather here to remember the cost of pride and fear. The Council refused to share power and humanity refused to surrender. In that stubbornness, trillions died. This memorial stands not to glorify what we did, but to remind us what we must never do again. Every name here represents a life, a person with dreams and family and hopes. They are gone because we chose war over understanding, power over cooperation. Let this be the last war the galaxy ever sees. Let this be the beginning of something better. The crowd was silent. Then one by one, delegates came forward and laid flowers at the memorial. Species that had been enemies stood side by side and mourned together. On a distant colony world, a young human girl looked up at the stars with her father. She was 8 years old and had been born during the war in an underground shelter while council ships bombed the surface above. "Papa," she asked, "why did the war happen?" Her father thought about how to explain. Because people were afraid. Because they thought they had to control everything to be safe. Because they forgot that freedom is more important than security. "Are we free now?" the girl asked. "Yes," her father said. "We are free. And that freedom cost more than you can imagine. Never forget that." She looked up at the stars, at the vast galaxy that was now open to humanity. Ships from Earth traveled freely to 1,000 worlds. Humans traded and worked and lived alongside hundreds of other species. The restrictions were gone. The fear was fading. The old council had ruled through force for 50,000 years. They had maintained order by keeping everyone weak, everyone afraid. Humanity had taught the galaxy a different lesson. They showed that those who demand submission will always fear those who refuse to kneel. They proved that freedom cannot be given, only taken. But they also learned that freedom has a price. 58 worlds. The great chamber of the Galactic Council stretched wide enough to hold representatives from 300 worlds. Light filtered through the dome above, casting colors across the assembled delegates. Some had scales, others had fur, and a few existed as energy contained in special suits. They had gathered here for 2 centuries to maintain peace among the stars. Today, that peace was about to break. Commander Thraxul of the Zalkari Empire stood at the central platform. His forearms crossed over his armored chest. His red eyes scanned the chamber with contempt. The Zalkari were warriors bred for conquest. For 500 years, they had expanded across the galaxy. Now they wanted more. The human sectors contained 12 resource-rich worlds, Thraxul announced. His voice echoed through the chamber. "These worlds are underutilized. The humans waste them on parks and art colonies. We claim them by right of superior force." Murmurs spread through the council. The human delegation sat quietly. There were only 3 of them. A young diplomat named Sarah Chen sat in the center. She wore a simple blue suit. Her face showed no emotion. From the back of the chamber, an old voice called out, "I request permission to speak." All eyes turned. Ambassador Krelix moved slowly toward the platform. He was ancient even by his species' standards. His gray skin had faded to almost white. He had been young when humans first reached the stars. That was 200 years ago. Now he was the only one left who remembered. "Speak, old one," the council chairman said, "though I wonder what wisdom you offer that we have not heard." Krelix reached the platform. He looked at Thraxul, then at the human delegation. Sarah Chen met his eyes. She nodded slightly. "I was there," Krelix began. "I was there when we found Earth, when we made first contact with humanity. I must warn this council. I must warn the Zalkari Empire. Do not fight humanity." Thraxul laughed. It was a harsh sound. "The humans? They are weak. They spend their time painting pictures and writing poetry. They terraform worlds to make gardens. They have no warrior culture. Their military is small." "That is what you see," Krelix said. "I saw something else. I saw their history." The chamber grew quiet. Krelix continued. "Earth is a world of gardens now. Beautiful cities. Clean oceans. But it was not always so. I studied their past. I read their books. I watched their old recordings. Humans fought wars for 10,000 years. They fought with sticks and stones. Then with metal and fire. Then with weapons that could burn entire cities in seconds. Ancient history," Thraxul said. "They have grown soft." "No," Krelix said firmly. "They grew tired. There is a difference. Humans stopped fighting because they chose to stop, not because they forgot how." Krelix pulled up a hologram. Images appeared in the air. Scenes from human history, battles, wars, destruction. "Look at their planet," he said. "They nearly destroyed it. They created weapons that could kill everyone on their world. They actually used some of them. And then they stopped. They looked at what they had done and they stopped. They put their weapons away. They built gardens where battlefields had been. The council watched the images, cities in ruins, mushroom clouds rising, then the same places rebuilt, parks and monuments, children playing. When we met them, Krelix continued, they greeted us with music and art. They shared their food. They asked us about our culture. They seemed innocent, harmless. But I spoke with their leaders. I asked them about their weapons. They told me something I will never forget. Krelix paused. The chamber was silent. They said, we keep the weapons locked away. We hope we never need them again, but we remember how to use them. We will always remember. That was not a threat. It was a warning. Warnings from gardeners, Thraxul said. The Zalkari do not fear gardeners. Sarah Chen stood up. She walked to the platform. Her steps were quiet, but everyone watched her. Ambassador Krelix speaks truth, she said. Her voice was calm. We are gardeners now. We prefer to grow things rather than destroy them. But Commander Thraxul, if you invade our worlds, we will respond. With what? Thraxul demanded. Your art ships? Your science vessels? With whatever is necessary, Sarah said. The chairman of the council spoke. The Zalkari have legal claim to expand. The human sectors are lightly defended. I see no reason to deny their request. Krelix struck the platform with his walking staff. You fools. You are sending them to their death. The old one has grown confused, Thraxul said. He fears shadows. Other council members agreed. The Zalkari Empire was strong. Humans were peaceful. The decision was obvious. The vote took only minutes. The council granted the Zalkari permission to expand into human space. Sarah Chen bowed to the council. Then we have nothing more to discuss here. I request 7 days to evacuate all human civilians from the contested zones. Granted, the chairman said. He seemed relieved. Perhaps this will resolve peacefully. Sarah looked at Thraxul. Commander, I hope you reconsider. There is no shame in peace. There is no glory in it either, Thraxul replied. The human delegation left the chamber. Krelix watched them go. He felt a deep sadness. That night, Krelix sat in his quarters. He opened old files, records from 200 years ago. He read his own notes from first contact with humanity. One entry stood out. He had written, Today I met a human general. She showed me their military museum. Weapons from their wars. Terrible weapons. I asked why they kept them. She said they were reminders. Reminders of what they could become if they forgot to be better. She cried as she spoke. I have never seen a warrior cry before. It disturbed me. Another entry. Humans are strange. They love their enemies after the fighting stops. They rebuild what they destroy. They hold their own people accountable for war crimes. What kind of species does this? And a final entry. I fear for any species that mistakes human kindness for weakness. The humans have made peace with themselves. That is the most dangerous opponent. The one who has nothing left to prove. Krelix closed the files. He sent a message to his home world. To his children and grandchildren. If war comes between humans and the Zalkari, stay far away. Do not take sides. Do not get involved. Remember what I taught you. The most dangerous creatures are the ones who have learned to be gentle. Across the galaxy, the evacuation began. Human transport ships arrived at the 12 contested worlds. Millions of civilians prepared to leave. They took their belongings. They said goodbye to their gardens and their homes. The Zalkari fleet gathered. Hundreds of warships, thousands of soldiers. They were confident. They were ready. Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of a transport ship. She watched families board. Children carrying toys. Parents carrying photos. They were sad, but they did not complain. An older man approached her. He wore an old uniform. Military medals on his chest, Ambassador, he said. I served in the fleet 40 years ago. Before I retired. If it comes to war, I will serve again. Sarah looked at him. I hope it does not come to that. But if it does? He asked. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, if it does, then we will do what humans have always done. We will protect our garden. No matter the cost, the old soldier nodded. He understood. In 7 days, the evacuation was complete. Not a single human civilian remained in the contested zones. The Zalkari took this as confirmation. The humans were running. They were afraid. Commander Thraxul sent a message to the human fleet. Surrender the 12 worlds. Accept Zalkari rule. There is no need for bloodshed. The response came quickly. It was simple. It was direct, no. The word hung in space like a promise. The Zalkari fleet entered the Epsilon system with all weapons active. 300 warships moved in formation. Their shields glowed with power, their missiles armed and ready. Commander Thraxul stood on the bridge of his flagship. He expected victory within hours. "Scan for human forces," he ordered. The sensor officer worked quickly. Then he looked up, confused. "Commander, I detect only 20 human ships. They are old models. Decommissioned cargo vessels with weapons attached. No military-grade shields," Thraxul smiled. 20 ships against 300. The humans are more foolish than I thought. Open a channel. The screen activated. An old human woman appeared. Her hair was white. Her face was lined with wrinkles. She wore a worn flight suit with faded patches. "I am Commander Thraxul of the Zalkari Empire. Surrender immediately and your deaths will be quick." The old woman laughed. It was not a scared laugh. It was the laugh of someone who had seen too much. "I am Captain Maria Santos," she said. "I flew cargo ships for 50 years. Been retired for 10. These folks with me, we all volunteered. We wanted to be here." "You volunteered to die?" Thraxul asked. "We volunteered to send a message," Maria said. "You had your warning. You didn't listen. So now you get lesson 1. The channel closed. The human ships moved forward. They did not retreat. They did not attempt to flee. They accelerated directly toward the Zalkari fleet. "They are insane," the tactical officer said. "Destroy them," Thraxul ordered. The Zalkari opened fire. Missiles streaked through space. Energy weapons lit up the darkness. The human ships took hit after hit. Their shields failed quickly. Hull breaches appeared. Fires burned in the void. But they kept coming. The first human ship reached a Zalkari destroyer. Instead of firing weapons, it rammed directly into the destroyer's bridge. Both ships exploded. "Metal and flames scattered across space. What are they doing?" the tactical officer shouted. 2 more human ships crashed into Zalkari vessels. They aimed for critical systems, engine rooms, weapons arrays. They traded their lives for maximum damage. The other human ships released swarms of small drones. Thousands of them. Each drone was a simple thing. An engine, a guidance system, and explosives. They moved too fast for the Zalkari point defense systems to track them all. The drones hit shields, weapons, sensors. They were not powerful enough to destroy the Zalkari ships. But they damaged them, blinded them, made them vulnerable. "Reform the line," Thraxul ordered. "Concentrate fire!" The Zalkari fleet focused their weapons. One by one, the human ships died. They burned bright and then went dark. But even as they died, they kept fighting. Escape pods launched, but not away from the battle. The pods flew toward Zalkari ships and exploded on contact. The last human ship was Captain Maria's. Her vessel was bleeding air. Half her systems were dead. She aimed directly at Thraxul's flagship. "All weapons, destroy that ship," Thraxul commanded. 100 cannons fired. Maria's ship came apart under the assault, but its momentum carried the wreckage forward. Debris struck the flagship's forward shields. The shields held, but barely. Then silence. All 20 human ships were destroyed. The Zalkari fleet remained, but 12 warships were gone. 20 more were damaged. Over 3,000 Zalkari soldiers were dead. The crew on the flagship looked shaken. They had won, but it did not feel like a victory. "Commander," the communications officer said, "we are receiving a transmission. It is on all frequencies." Repeating. "Play it," Thraxul said. The screen showed a recording. Captain Maria Santos. She must have made it before the battle. She sat in her pilot chair. She looked directly at the camera. "To whoever sees this," she said, "My name is Maria Santos. I am 73 years old. I have 6 grandchildren. I should be home reading them stories. Instead, I am here. You want to know why?" She leaned forward. "Because someone has to show you what you are dealing with. We are not your enemy. We never wanted to be. But you came to our worlds. You threatened our gardens, our homes, our families. So we came here. 20 ships. All volunteers. All retired. All old." She smiled sadly. "We are not soldiers anymore. We left that life behind decades ago. But we remember. We remember what we are capable of. And we wanted you to know, this is not the human military you just fought. This is your warning. This is us being nice." She reached for something off screen. A photo. She held it up. Children smiling at the camera. "These are my grandchildren. They live on one of the worlds you want to take. I will do anything to protect them. We all will. Every human. We have 7 days to leave before you arrived. We used 6 of those days to evacuate civilians. We used the last day to gather volunteers. Her voice became harder. We came here in cargo ships and old transports. We attached whatever weapons we could find. We are not the fleet. We are not the military. We are just citizens. And look what we did to you. Now imagine what the actual military will do. She set the photo down. You have one chance. Turn around, go home. Tell your empire that humans are not worth fighting. Because if you force this war, then you will learn why humanity spent 200 years trying to forget what we are good at. The recording ended. The bridge was silent. It is propaganda, Thraxul said. But his voice was not as confident. Delete it. Commander, the sensor officer said. We are receiving another transmission. This one is from Human Military Command. A new face appeared on the screen. A human man in a crisp uniform. His hair was gray. His eyes were cold. I am Admiral James Torres of the Human Defense Fleet. Commander Thraxul, you have engaged and destroyed civilian volunteers. 20 ships. 470 people. They were grandparents. Retired workers, teachers, they died to send you a message, the Admiral paused. I am now sending you a different message. You have 7 days. Withdraw from all contested systems. Return to your own space. Agree to peace negotiations. If you do this, we will forgive this incident. We will call it a misunderstanding. And if we do not? Thraxul asked. Admiral Torres's expression did not change. Then we will show you the difference between civilians and soldiers. Between cargo ships and warships. Between warning shots and full military engagement. You have 7 days. Choose wisely. The transmission ended. Thraxul stared at the empty screen. Around him his officers waited. Commander, his second-in-command said quietly. Perhaps we should consider their offer. We lost 12 ships to 20 cargo vessels. If their military is stronger... Silence, Thraxul roared. The Zalkari do not retreat. We do not show weakness. He composed a message to the Zalkari High Command. He reported the battle. He requested reinforcements. He recommended caution. The response came within hours. The High Command was furious. Not at the humans. At Thraxul. You allowed civilians to damage our fleet. You make excuses. You show weakness. You are relieved of command. Commander Vectar will take your place. He will show these humans what war truly means. Thraxul was escorted from the bridge. His career was over. His honor was gone. He had tried to warn them. They did not listen. Commander Vectar arrived on the flagship 3 days later. He was younger, more aggressive. He looked at the battle reports and laughed. Thraxul was frightened by old people in cargo ships. How pathetic. We will crush the humans. We will take their worlds. And we will make them regret their defiance, he gave the orders. The Zalkari fleet would advance. They would not wait 7 days. They would strike now. They would strike hard. The fleet moved forward into human space. Sensors swept ahead. This time they were ready for tricks, ready for surprises. They found something else instead. Commander, the sensor officer said. His voice was shaking. You need to see this. The screen showed long-range scans. Hundreds of contacts. No, thousands. Human ships. Real warships. Military vessels. They were emerging from jump points all around the Zalkari fleet. How many? Vectar demanded. Still counting, Commander. At least 2,000 ships. More arriving every minute. Vectar stared at the screen. His confidence drained away. Get me Admiral Torres, he said. The human admiral appeared. He did not look angry. He looked tired. Commander Vectar, you did not wait the full 7 days. You chose aggression. So be it. Wait, Vectar said. We can negotiate. You had 7 days to negotiate, Torres said. Captain Santos and her volunteers bought you those 7 days with their lives. You wasted them. Now there is nothing left to discuss. The screen went dark. The human fleet began to move. The human fleet did not negotiate. They did not send warnings. They attacked. Commander Vectar watched in horror as his sensors filled with targets. The human ships moved with precision. They had trained for this, prepared for this. Every movement was calculated. Every shot was aimed with purpose. Return fire, Vectar ordered. All ships engage. The Zalkari fleet responded. Thousands of weapons fired. Space lit up with energy beams and missiles. But the human ships moved differently than expected. They split into small groups, fast attack squadrons that darted between the larger Zalkari vessels. The first human weapons struck. They were not like anything the Zalkari had seen before. Missiles that released clouds of small objects. Those objects attached to Zalkari hulls. Then they began to eat through the metal. Nanomachines. They consumed the ships from the outside in. "What is this?" Vector shouted. "Our armor is dissolving. Seal all breaches," the engineering officer called. But the nanomachines spread too fast. They could not be stopped with conventional methods. Other human ships fired different weapons. Electromagnetic pulses that shut down entire systems. Gravity weapons that crushed ships from the inside. Particle beams that burned through shields like they were not there. The Zalkari fought back. They were skilled warriors. They had won 100 battles. But this was different. The humans fought with a cold efficiency. No wasted shots. No hesitation. They targeted specific ships. Disabled them. Moved to the next target. "They are not trying to destroy us all," the tactical officer said. "They are isolating our command ships." He was right. The human fleet focused on ships carrying senior officers. Flag vessels. Command cruisers. They cut off the Zalkari communications. Created chaos in the formation. Vector's flagship shuddered as weapons fire hit the shields. The lights flickered. "Jump to hyperspace," Vector ordered. "We must retreat." "Jump drives are offline," the helmsman reported. "They are jamming our systems." The humans had them trapped. The Zalkari fleet began to break apart. Some ships tried to flee. Human fighters pursued them. Small, fast craft that hunted the larger ships like predators. Admiral Torres appeared on every Zalkari screen. His voice was broadcast across all channels. "This is your only warning. Power down your weapons. Surrender your ships. You will be treated according to galactic law. Refuse and we will destroy you." Some Zalkari ships powered down. Their captains chose survival. But others, proud warriors who could not accept defeat, continued fighting. The humans destroyed those ships without mercy. Quick, clean kills. No torture. No cruelty. Just efficient destruction. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, half the Zalkari invasion fleet was destroyed. The other half had surrendered. Commander Vector was captured. His flagship was boarded by human marines. They escorted him to a holding cell without a word. But the war was not over. The Zalkari Empire had more fleets. More ships. They gathered their forces for a counterattack. Across the galaxy, other species watched. News of the battle spread. Shock and confusion followed. The peaceful humans had revealed weapons no one knew they possessed. Questions arose. Where had these weapons come from? How long had humans been preparing? Ambassador Krellick spoke with Sarah Chen in a private channel. His voice was sad. "I tried to warn them," he said. "I know," Sarah replied. "We tried too. They would not listen. What happens now?" Sarah was quiet for a moment. "Now we show them why we locked our weapons away. Why we tried so hard to be better. Because when we stop trying, when we embrace what we are capable of, we become something terrible. Can you stop?" Krellick asked. "Can you control your military?" "Yes," Sarah said. "But we choose not to, not yet. The Zalkari started this war. We will finish it completely." The human fleet did not return home. They advanced. They moved into Zalkari space. Every contested world was retaken. Human soldiers landed on planets. They fought with tactics the galaxy had never seen. Drones controlled by advanced artificial intelligence. Small machines that could navigate any terrain. They scouted ahead. They identified targets. Human soldiers followed. They were equipped with armor that made them stronger, faster. Weapons that could take down armored vehicles. The Zalkari were skilled fighters. But humans had studied war for 10,000 years. Every battle in human history had taught them something. They used those lessons now. They attacked at night using thermal vision. They used psychological warfare, broadcasting messages that made Zalkari troops question their leaders. They cut supply lines. They turned the Zalkari's own tactics against them. General Marcus Chen commanded the ground forces. He was Sarah's brother. He had not wanted this war, but now that it had begun, he fought it with total commitment. "We will give them every chance to surrender," he told his officers. "But if they refuse, we will show no mercy. We will break their military so completely that they will never threaten anyone again." The Zalkari High Command tried to rally their forces. They called for total war. Every citizen was ordered to fight. They sent more fleets, more soldiers. The humans destroyed them all. Ships that had been mothballed for 200 years came out of storage. Weapons that had been locked away were activated. Factories that had made commercial goods switched to military production. The galaxy watched in horror. This was not the humanity they knew. This was something else, something ancient and terrible that had been sleeping. The Galactic Council held an emergency session. Representatives demanded that both sides stop fighting. Admiral Torres attended via hologram. He stood before the council. His uniform was crisp, but his face showed the strain of command. The Galactic Council gave the Zalkari permission to invade our space, he said. You told us to accept it. To be peaceful. We evacuated our civilians. We gave warnings. We offered negotiations. All of it was refused. Now you ask us to stop defending ourselves? The council chairman spoke. Admiral, your response has been disproportionate. You have destroyed more than half the Zalkari fleet. You have invaded their territory. This must end. It will end, Torres said, when the Zalkari are no longer a threat. When they surrender completely. When they agree to our terms. What terms? The chairman asked. Torres pulled up a document. The terms were harsh. Complete Zalkari disarmament. War crimes trials for those who ordered the invasion. Reparations for human losses. Monitoring of Zalkari military development for the next century. The council was silent. These were the terms of total victory. Unconditional surrender. This is too much, a delegate said. You will destroy their entire civilization. They will survive, Torres said. But they will learn. They will learn that starting wars has consequences. That ignoring warnings is foolish. That underestimating your opponent can be fatal. He looked directly at the chairman. For 200 years, humanity has been part of this council. We have followed your rules. We have kept the peace. We have helped other species. We have been good neighbors. And what did that get us? You gave permission for an empire to invade our worlds, to take our homes, to threaten our families. Torres's voice remained calm, but his words cut deep. We are teaching the Zalkari a lesson, but we are also teaching the rest of the galaxy. We are peaceful when allowed to be, but we are not weak. We are not helpless, and we will never, ever allow another species to threaten us without consequences. The hologram ended. The council sat in stunned silence. Ambassador Krellick spoke quietly. I told you. I warned you all. Humans are gardeners. They create beautiful things, but they protect those things with absolute conviction. You forced them to become warriors again. This is the result. The war continued for 3 more months. The Zalkari Empire fractured. Some colonies surrendered immediately. Others fought on. Human forces advanced steadily. They did not rush. They did not make mistakes. They broadcast messages to Zalkari civilians. We do not want to hurt you. We are fighting your military and your leadership. Surrender and you will be treated fairly. Continue fighting and we will do whatever is necessary. Slowly, the Zalkari resistance crumbled, not because of fear alone, but because they realized the humans meant what they said. Civilians who surrendered were given food, medicine, shelter. Soldiers who laid down weapons were taken prisoner but treated according to law. But those who continued fighting faced the full force of human military power. Cities that housed military bases were blockaded. Supply lines were cut. The Zalkari military starved. General Chen stood on a captured Zalkari world. He looked at the city around him. Buildings damaged from fighting. Civilians watching from windows. Children crying. He hated this. All of it. He had not wanted war. None of the humans had. But it had come anyway. Sir, his aide said, Zalkari High Command is requesting a meeting. They want to discuss terms. Chen nodded slowly. Tell them we will meet. But the terms are non-negotiable. Complete surrender. Nothing less, the aide saluted and left. Chen looked up at the sky. Stars shone above, peaceful and distant. We just wanted to grow our gardens, he said quietly. Why did they make us do this? No one answered. The question hung in the air like smoke from a dying fire. The Zalkari homeworld of Zalkar Prime had never seen an enemy fleet in its skies. For 800 years it had been the center of an empire. Conquerors looked out from this world. Victims looked up at it with fear. Now human warships orbited above. Supreme Commander Thalric stood in the command center. He was old now. He had led the Zalkari military for 30 years. He had overseen 50 successful campaigns. But he had never seen defeat like this. The humans are requesting a meeting, his aide said. They want you to come to their flagship. I will not go to them, Thalric said. They will come here. We are still on our own world. We still have our dignity, the aide hesitated. Commander, they said if you refuse, they will come down and take you. They will broadcast it to the entire planet. They said you can walk to them with honor or be dragged. The choice is yours. Thalric closed his eyes. The Empire was broken. The fleet was destroyed. 300 worlds had surrendered. Millions of soldiers were in human prison camps. He had no choice left. Tell them I will come. Hours later, Thalric stood in the hangar bay of the human flagship. Marines in powered armor lined the walls. They did not point weapons at him. They simply stood, silent, watching. Admiral Torres waited at the end of the hangar. Next to him stood General Chen and Ambassador Sarah Chen, the three humans who had conducted this war. Thalric walked forward. His forearms were empty. No weapons, no symbols of rank. He had left those behind. Supreme Commander Thalric, Torres said. Thank you for coming. I had no choice, Thalric replied. His voice was bitter. No, Torres agreed. You did not. Not anymore. But you did have a choice 4 months ago. You could have listened to Ambassador Chen. You could have listened to Ambassador Krelix. You chose war instead. We chose strength, Thalric said. You chose pride, Sarah Chen said. You thought we were weak. You thought you could take what you wanted. Now look at the cost. She pulled up a hologram. Images appeared in the air. Destroyed Zalkari ships. Ruined cities. Soldiers in prisoner camps. The numbers scrolled past. 7 million Zalkari dead. 20 million wounded. The economy shattered. The military gone. This is what your pride cost your people, Sarah said. Thalric looked at the images. Each one was a dagger to his heart. What do you want from me? Confession, apology? I am a soldier. I followed orders. Orders you helped create, General Chen said. He spoke for the first time. His voice was cold. You were not a low-ranking officer. You were Supreme Commander. You told the High Council that humans were weak, that we would not fight, that our worlds could be taken easily. Your advice started this war. I did not know, Thalric said. You did not want to know, Chen replied. Ambassador Krelix gave you the data. He showed you human history. He warned you explicitly. You ignored it because it did not fit what you wanted to believe. The general stepped closer. Thalric could see his eyes now. There was pain there. And anger. Not the hot anger of impulse. The cold anger of someone who has lost something precious. My daughter was visiting one of the contested worlds, Chen said. She was a teacher. She worked at a school for mixed species, teaching Zalkari children and human children together. She believed in peace, in understanding. He paused. His voice did not waver, but the pain was clear. When your fleet invaded, one of your ships fired on the evacuation transports. They were clearly marked. Clearly civilian. Your ship fired anyway. My daughter was on one of those transports. She was 26 years old. Thalric felt something cold in his chest. I did not order that. I would never order strikes on evacuation ships. But it happened, Chen said. And you bear responsibility. You command the military. You set the culture. You created an environment where your officers thought it was acceptable to fire on civilians. I am sorry, Thalric said. The words felt hollow. Your apology means nothing to my daughter, Chen replied. She is gone. You cannot bring her back. No one can. Admiral Torres spoke again. This is why we are here, Supreme Commander. This is why we will not simply accept your surrender and leave. We will make sure this never happens again. He pulled up a document. The terms of surrender. Thalric read them. Each line was worse than the last. Complete disarmament of all Zalkari military forces. Dismantling of all warship construction facilities. Trials for war crimes. Reparations equal to 30% of Zalkari gross production for the next 50 years. Human observers on every Zalkari world. Restrictions on military research for 100 years. This will destroy us, Thalric said. No, Torres replied. It will change you. There is a difference. Your people will survive. Your culture will survive. But your ability to threaten others will not. This is revenge, Thalric said. This is justice, Sarah Chen said. And protection. You prove that you cannot be trusted with military power. So we will take it away. Not forever. But long enough for your culture to change. Long enough for a new generation to grow up without the glorification of conquest. Ambassador Krelix entered the hangar. He moved slowly. He looked even older than before. He approached Thalrix. "Old friend," Krelix said. "I tried to warn you." "You did," Thalrix acknowledged. "I did not listen. I thought you were being too cautious, too fearful." "I was being realistic," Krelix said. "I studied humans. I learned about them. You dismissed them without understanding them. That was your mistake." Thalrix looked at the humans. "You are more dangerous than any species in the galaxy. You hide it behind art and gardens, but underneath you are predators." "No," General Chen said. "We are survivors. There is a difference. Predators hunt for pleasure. We fight only when forced, but when we fight to win. Completely, totally, because we have learned that half measures only prolong suffering." He gestured to the hologram showing the destruction. "Do you think we enjoyed this? Do you think we wanted to destroy your fleet? To occupy your worlds? Every single death weighs on us. Every destroyed ship. Every ruined city. We carry that burden. But we carry it because you gave us no choice." Thalrix bowed his head. "I will recommend that the High Council accept your terms. I have no authority to make the decision myself." "You will do more than that," Torres said. "You will stand trial. You will testify. You will tell your people the truth. That this war was unnecessary. That it was based on pride and miscalculation. That you bear responsibility." "You want me to destroy what remains of my reputation," Thalrix said. "We want you to speak truth," Sarah said. "Your people need to understand what happened. Why it happened. If you hide the truth, if you allow myths to grow, then in 50 years or 100 years some other commander will make the same mistake. History will repeat. And if I refuse?" Admiral Torres's expression did not change. "Then we will present the evidence ourselves. Communications intercepts, battle recordings, testimony from captured officers. The truth will come out regardless. The only question is whether you help your people understand it, or whether you let them learn it from their conquerors." Thalrix stood silent for a long moment. His world was ending. His career was over. His legacy was destruction. But he could still choose how the story ended. "I will testify," he said finally. "I will tell them what happened. What I did wrong. What we all did wrong. That is all we ask," Torres said. The formal negotiations took 3 weeks. The Zalkari High Council tried to soften the terms. They argued. They pleaded. They threatened to continue fighting. The humans showed them more footage. Human ships positioned over every major Zalkari world. The implied threat was clear. Accept the terms or face total destruction. The High Council accepted. The signing ceremony was held on neutral ground. A space station run by the Galactic Council. Representatives from hundreds of species attended. They wanted to witness this moment. Thalrix sat at a table. Across from him sat Admiral Torres, General Chen, and Ambassador Sarah Chen. Between them lay the document. Pages and pages of terms, concessions, requirements, rules. Thalrix picked up the stylus. His hand hesitated over the document. "If I sign this, my name will be cursed for generations," he said. "Perhaps," Sarah said. "Or perhaps future generations will understand that you made the best choice available after making the worst mistake. You are ending the war. You are saving what remains of your people. There is honor in that," Thalrix signed. His signature was heavy. Final Admiral Torres signed for humanity. General Chen signed. Sarah Chen signed as witness. It was done. The war was over. The galaxy breathed a collective sigh of relief. But it was not a comfortable relief. They had seen something they could never unsee. Humanity's capacity for war, for destruction, for absolute victory. Ambassador Krelix watched the signing ceremony from the observation deck. He felt vindicated but not happy. He had been right. But being right had not prevented the war, had not saved the millions who died. A young diplomat approached him, one of his own species. "Ambassador, the Council is preparing new first contact protocols. We want your input. How do we identify species that are dangerous? Species like humanity." Krelix turned to look at the young one. He sighed deeply. "You missed the point," he said. "Humanity is not dangerous because they are aggressive. They are dangerous because they tried so hard to be peaceful. They locked away their weapons. They chose to be gardeners. But when pushed, when threatened, they remembered what they were capable of. So how do we identify such species? Look for the ones who have overcome. 5 years had passed since the signing. The galaxy had changed. The Zalkari Empire no longer existed. In its place were the Zalkari territories, a collection of worlds that governed themselves under human oversight. No military beyond basic police forces, no weapons of war, no dreams of conquest. On the world of Zalkar Prime, General Marcus Chen walked through a marketplace. He wore civilian clothes now. No uniform, no rank insignia, just a simple jacket against the cold wind. The marketplace was busy. Zalkari citizens bought food, clothes, and tools. Children played between the stalls. Life had returned to normal, or as normal as it could be after total defeat. A Zalkari vendor waved to Chen. "General Chen, please come try my fruit, fresh from the southern farms." Chen smiled and walked over. The vendor pressed a piece of fruit into his hand. It was sweet and tart at the same time. "Excellent," Chen said. "How is the farm doing?" "Very well," the vendor said. "Thanks to the irrigation system your engineers built, we are growing 3 times what we did before the war. My family is prospering." "I am glad," Chen said. He paid for several pieces of fruit and continued walking. 5 years ago, this vendor would have spat at him, would have cursed his name. Now they chatted like old friends. Time and effort had changed things. Chen reached the school at the edge of the market. It was newly built. Human and Zalkari engineers had worked together to design it. The architecture blended both styles. It was beautiful. Inside, he found what he was looking for, a classroom full of children. Human children and Zalkari children sitting together, learning together. A young Zalkari teacher stood at the front explaining mathematics. Chen waited until the lesson ended. The children filed out, chattering in a mix of languages. The teacher saw him and waved. "General Chen, your timing is perfect. I wanted to ask about the science lab equipment you promised." "It arrived yesterday," Chen said. "My team will install it tomorrow. Your students will have everything they need." "Thank you," the teacher said. Her name was Silvara. She was young, barely 30. She had been a student herself when the war began. "You know, when I was young, I was taught that humans were weak, that they were inferior. I believed it. And now?" Chen asked. "Now I teach my students that strength comes in many forms," Silvara said. "That the ability to destroy is not the same as the right to destroy. The true strength is choosing peace even when you have the power for war." Chen nodded. "That is a good lesson." A small Zalkari child approached them. She was perhaps 7 years old. She looked up at Chen with curious eyes. "Excuse me," she said politely. "Teacher Silvara says you were a soldier, that you fought in the war." "I was," Chen confirmed. "I commanded human forces during the conflict. My grandfather says human soldiers were monsters, that they killed without mercy. But you seem nice." "I do not understand." Chen knelt down to be at her eye level. "What is your name?" "Kira," the child said. "Kira, that is a good question. Let me tell you something. During the war, I ordered attacks on Zalkari military targets. Ships were destroyed. Soldiers died. I made hard choices. Some people think that makes me a monster." The child listened carefully. "But I also made sure that civilians were protected, that prisoners were treated fairly, that hospitals and schools were never targeted. After the war ended, I helped rebuild what was destroyed. I am here now helping to build schools and farms." "So you are both things?" Kira asked. "In a way, yes," Chen said. "I am capable of fighting, of being hard when necessary, but I prefer to build, to create, to help. Most humans are like this. We can be both things. The question is which one we choose to be." Kira thought about this. "My teacher says choice is important." "Your teacher is very wise," Chen said. The child smiled and ran off to join her friends. Silvara watched her go. "That question," Silvara said. "How do you be both things? How do you fight without becoming cruel? How do you show mercy after violence?" "It is not easy," Chen admitted. "Every soldier I knew struggled with it. We saw terrible things. We did terrible things. Some of us carry guilt that will never go away." He looked out the window. Human soldiers were helping to construct a new building. They laughed with Zalkari workers, shared lunch, told jokes, but we remember why we fought. Chen continued. "Not for glory, not for conquest, but to protect what we love. That purpose keeps us grounded. It reminds us that violence is a tool, not an identity. When the fighting ends, we put the tool away." "I wish my people had understood that," Silvara said quietly. "They are learning now," Chen said. "It is a hard lesson, but you are teaching the next generation well. In 20 years, Kira and her classmates will lead the Zalkari territories. They will remember these lessons. They will choose differently than their grandparents did. Across the planet, similar scenes played out. Human aid workers built hospitals. Engineers repaired infrastructure. Teachers trained Zalkari educators. Farmers showed advanced agricultural techniques. It was not charity. It was part of the peace agreement. Humanity would help rebuild what the war had destroyed. In return, the Zalkari would accept human oversight and guidance. Some Zalkari resented this. They saw it as continued occupation, but most recognized it for what it was, a genuine attempt to help, to ensure lasting peace. Admiral Torres had retired after the war. He now served as the human ambassador to the Zalkari territories. He spent his days in meetings, negotiating trade agreements, settling disputes, building relationships. Today he met with the Zalkari Council of Governors. The council had replaced the old High Command. They were elected officials, not military commanders. Ambassador Torres, Governor Malketh said, "We wish to discuss the timeline for withdrawal of human oversight. It has been 5 years. Our people grow restless." Torres nodded. "I understand. The original agreement specified a review after 5 years. We have conducted that review." He pulled up a document. "Your economy has stabilized. Your infrastructure is rebuilt. Your government is functioning. Crime rates are low. You have complied with all disarmament requirements. The review is positive. So you will leave?" Malketh asked hopefully. "Not entirely," Torres said. "But we will reduce our presence significantly. Military observers will withdraw from most worlds. Aid programs will transition to partnership programs. Instead of us teaching you, we will work together as equals." "When will this happen?" "Beginning next month," Torres said. "Full transition will take 2 years. By then, the only humans remaining will be embassy staff and volunteers who choose to stay." The council members looked relieved, but also uncertain. "Ambassador," another governor said, "what if someone threatens us? We have no military, no defense fleet. How will we protect ourselves?" Torres smiled slightly. "The same way you have been protected for the last 5 years. The Galactic Council has guaranteed the security of the Zalkari territories. Any attack on your worlds would be treated as an attack on humanity. You would defend us? After everything?" "Yes," Torres said simply. "The war is over. You are no longer our enemies. We would prefer you become our friends, but regardless, we will not allow you to be conquered or destroyed. That is our commitment." The meeting ended on a hopeful note. Torres returned to his quarters. He looked at photos on his desk. His family. His grandchildren. He had missed 5 years of their lives serving here. But it had been necessary. Ambassador Sarah Chen visited him that evening. Brother and sister sat on his balcony, watching the sunset over the Zalkari capital. "Do you think it worked?" Sarah asked. "All of this. The rebuilding, the teaching, the oversight. I think we gave them a chance," Marcus replied. "What they do with it is up to them. But yes, I think it worked. I see the changes. I see the children learning different values. I see the adults questioning their old beliefs. Some will always hate us," Sarah said. "Some will," Marcus agreed. "We killed millions of their people, destroyed their empire, humiliated them. That does not disappear just because we build schools afterward. But hate fades, especially when the people who remember the war start to die. The next generation will not carry that same rage." "I hope you are right." They sat in silence for a while. The sun touched the horizon. The sky turned purple and orange. "Do you regret it?" Sarah asked. "The way we fought. The terms we imposed." "All of it," Marcus thought carefully. "I regret that it was necessary. I regret that my daughter died. I regret every life lost on both sides. But do I regret our actions? No, we defended ourselves. We ended a threat. And we tried to build something better from the ashes. That is all we could do." Far across the galaxy on Earth, Ambassador Krelix gave a lecture. He was ancient now. His body was failing, but his mind remained sharp. He stood before a class of young diplomats from a dozen species. "You are the future of galactic relations," he told them. "You will make first contact with new species. You will negotiate treaties. You will prevent wars or fail to prevent them. So I leave you with one lesson, one warning." The students leaned forward. "Never underestimate a species based on what they appear to be," Krelix said. "Look deeper. Study their history. Understand their capacity. Humans appeared peaceful. They were peaceful. but they were capable of extraordinary violence when threatened. That combination made them more dangerous than any purely aggressive species. Why? Ayo.